Listen, there is a rather large elephant in the room, and I think I've done a very good job propaganda. I've done a really, really good job creating propaganda about Cade Cunningham and his arrival to Detroit. And I promise this will be the last video I make about Cade for like a little bit, because I know I've talked about him a lot. And then once this is done, you guys can go back to being like, can you make an Orlando Magic video? No, because I care about how my videos perform. The number one thing that has pissed me off, of which there are several things, but I think the number one thing, and I've been very clear about this, Rockets fans and Cavs fans feeling eerily entitled to Cade on their basketball team. You did not win the lottery. You did not tank well enough. I'm really, really sorry that the lottery ball. Mark Tatum hates you guys. It's not my fault. I'm sorry that he likes Detroit better. Be better. It's almost like in Horizon Zero Dawn, which, by the way, when that came out, was, I think, the most impressive graphical achievement in the history of video games. And then God of War came out and was like, actually us. And I was like, Horizon Zero Dawn, still a really good game. I can already tell this little bit is going to take a minute. So if you don't care about video game references, go ahead and speed ahead like 60 seconds, because, again, this might take me a second. She was doing the proving early on in the game. That's what it was. And basically, why was she doing that? I think because she was like a bastard child. She was like Jon Snow, basically. And she had to basically do this little obstacle course to be like, look, I'm legit, like, accept me. And then she wins it. Wow, impressed. Aloy wins the proving. And then the bad guys attack, and she gets the main antagonist was like, you guys don't care about this. The main antagonist was like, turn your face to the sun, child, which, by the great line, great writing, great delivery across the board. Mwah. Turn your face to the sun, child. That's how I view Rockets and Cavs fans. If the sun is a picture of me with my arm around Cade Cunningham. But anyways, I think Pistons fans, well, I guess it's really basketball fans, but just for the sake of it, we'll just use Pistons fans as an example because it's relevant. Pistons fans have been so saturated in their self-perpetuated misery and skepticism and, frankly, pessimism because of past regimes and what their blunders have been in the draft, that we're now lying to ourselves about what Cade Cunningham is, which is in turn talking about what he's actually not, because you feel like you have to overcompensate and overcorrect for the fact that you don't think people want Cade to be in Detroit. And for the most part, I don't think most people do, the way that, oh my gosh, Anthony Edwards has to go to Minnesota. Oh, that sucks. You know, people do that with teams like every single year. The point that I'm getting to here is there's a sect of Pistons Twitter who I've encountered on multiple occasions who try to convince everybody that Cade, coming out of the draft, is a better prospect than Zion. No, I do not need to explain to you why that is the most asinine thing I have ever heard in my life. It's also annoying to me. I hate when people are like, oh, look at how this team has just missed on so many stars in the draft, and people always cite Detroit mainly because of Darko, as if now the Darko thing is an exception in and of itself, but it's just annoying to me. Look at any team, and they've missed on a superstar or at least a star at some point, like over the course of a decade. It happens with everybody, and unless you're Memphis, because it hasn't happened with Memphis recently. Cade Cunningham, Nick, get to the video. Talk about Cade. An incredibly gifted and high IQ passer who can score at 3 levels, can play bully ball. I know that people, like just draft experts, are like, those low assist numbers for Cade Cunningham, that's a little bit worrisome. Yeah, it's not, though, because you can easily find like a 30-minute supercut of all of the assist opportunities that Cade had at Oklahoma State. Like, he wasn't just the engine that made that offense run. He was like the, I don't know, car people. If it's a Tesla, he was the battery. But like that, well, that's not. Cade was literally it. And it's not to say, like, people miss open shots all the time. You could find super long supercuts of anybody missing a bunch of shots. But the point that I'm making is like he would set guys up effortlessly, especially because he got doubled all the time. You want to talk about Cade? You know what impresses me the most about Cade Cunningham? Something that nobody talks about nearly as much as they should. Throw 2 guys at him. Throw a double at Cade and watch what happens. Either he's going to throw an elite level slip pass for a guy who's 6'8", or he's going to split it. effortlessly. Like the way that he's like a man. It's just gone. Like he's two bodies, and Cade's like, I'm already gone. A lot of people question. A lot of you guys have actually asked me this. Like, how is it going to work with Killian? The thing with Killian and Cade is Killian is going to have to really adapt to an off-ball role, which is something that when he came back after his hip injury this past season, they really tried to integrate him into the offense with Corey Joseph in an off-ball role. And I think I've talked about this in a previous video, which is going to include him having to improve his jump shot and the efficiency with which he shoots it. If that doesn't happen, though, that's not good. Because Cade Cunningham needs the ball in his hands. And well, that's actually kind of another sneaky fun thing about Cade that I really, really enjoy is how fun he is off the ball. Like, you're not going to classify him as a slasher or like like a baseline cutter. Like, he can pull that off. It's definitely in his arsenal. But it's not like it's really fun. But in a primary setting, you're going to want him to be your primary initiator. And when he comes to Detroit, he's going to be surrounded by shooters. You have Sadiq Bey, who is a historically good three-point shooter as a rookie. You have Jeremy Grant. You have Frank Jackson, assuming he comes back, which we'll see about that. I'd like him to. You have Josh Jackson. You even have Isaiah Stewart. Like, you want to talk about one of the most interesting two-man games, one of the most interesting potential two-man games on the roster. It's going to be Cade Cunningham and Isaiah Stewart. Not just because Cade is an elite pick-and-roll passer, but because Isaiah Stewart can pick and pop. Like, I know that when people think about Isaiah, if you're not a Pistons fan, you probably just think of this really tough, big bully ball guy. People always liken him to Ben Wallace, which is just so annoying. Even Ben was like, please stop doing that. But I don't think enough people know Isaiah Stewart has a three ball. That's coming. Actually, it's already here. I think after the whistle, Isaiah probably put up like 23s this past season. I swear to God, he made like 17 of them. And then additionally, I think he shot like a touch over 30%. Which is definitely going to help. And I think it's also frustrating because, like, Pistons fans are like, we don't want Jalen Green. We don't want Evan Mobley. I totally understand that because you have the first pick. But the end game was get a top 3 pick. So it's annoying to me that we're now trying to downplay the talent of the former two because the reality is that the top 3, they all have skills that are going to translate at the next level. And the one thing that I do hate about the draft is we do this every single year. And it's nobody's fault. It's just this is just what we do. Is you're like, man, 1, this guy's really good. At 2, this guy's really good. 3, this guy's really good. And it's always difficult for us to imagine a world in which these players aren't going to pan out. And this is especially the case this season. And it's entirely conceivable that they're all great. Because what was the Zion class? Was it was Zion, Ja, was RJ 3? I don't remember who was 3rd off the top of my head. But all those guys have turned out to be pretty good. So it's entirely conceivable that they could all be good. But you just kind of feel like one of these guys is going to be like the worst of these 3, and you just wonder who it's going to be. And right now, I don't know, dude. I don't know. And whoever's worse, again, that could be completely marginal. Like we could be talking about like a Trey, Luka, Ayton. I want to say this: Luka, Trey, and Ayton scenario where it's like they're all great in their own respective way, and being comparative is weird, and I always think that it is. I also want to say this about Cade. I got a text earlier today, and it was like, people think that Cade is this generational talent. Even Troy Weaver, by the way, the Pistons general manager, like a month or 2 before the lottery even happened, was like, I don't see any generational talents in this upcoming class. I don't see a LeBron. I don't see a Shaq. So that didn't all of the sudden change. And by the way, that's not a bad thing. So the text that I got today was, Cade's ceiling could very well be Jason Tatum with braids. How true is that? I don't know. Is it hilarious? Yes. Those of you who have been around for a long time know that I have a soft spot in my heart for guards who are over 6'5", which is one of the reasons I love Killian so much. And having a guy like Cade Cunningham, these primary playmakers who are like disguised as wings but are actually point guards, are like this new wave of basketball player. And it's super important to have them on your basketball team if you want to win games. So Cade Cunningham is going to help us win a lot of basketball games. I guess. Sorry, I know that these videos are always just all over the place, and I need to stop apologizing for it because at this point it's just what they are. But I guess the overarching theme of what I'm trying to say is stop trying to convince yourselves that players are something that they're not just because you feel like everybody is against you. Which by the way, Cade was in Detroit today. He was at the Tigers game. And there were we want Cade chants. And Cade liked that. He smiled. He laughed. There's video of it. And so everyone can go cry because you don't have him, and I do. God, it feels so good.